Alfredo James Pacino, known worldwide as Al Pacino, was born on April 25, 1940, in the East Harlem neighborhood of New York City. The only child of Salvatore Pacino and Rose Gerard, Al's life took a dramatic turn when his parents divorced when he was just 2 years old. His mother moved him to the South Bronx, where he would be raised in a tough, working-class environment that shaped much of his character and fueled the raw emotion he would later bring to his performances. From a young age, Pacino was drawn to storytelling and drama. At school, he struggled academically, but found a natural home in acting. He would perform small plays in his neighborhood and was often called Sonny by his friends. Despite resistance from his mother, who feared the instability of an acting career, Pacino persisted. At the age of 17, after attending the High School of Performing Arts for a short time, he dropped out of regular school and began working odd jobs, including messenger, janitor, and busboy, to support himself while studying acting. Pacino's early life was anything but easy. He experienced homelessness, loss, and rejection. He was even nicknamed the Street Shakespeare by some of his peers because of his raw talent and his constant quoting of classic lines. But he never gave up. He joined the Herbert Berghof studio in Manhattan, where he studied under the legendary acting coach Lee Strasberg. There, he embraced method acting, a technique that would define his entire career. His big break came not on film, but on stage. In 1969, Pacino won an Obie Award for his role in The Indian Wants the Bronx, and this critical success on the New York stage quickly drew attention from Hollywood. The turning point came when he landed the role of a drug addict in The Panic in Needle Park, 1971. His performance was haunting and powerful, enough to catch the eye of director Francis Ford Coppola, who was casting for a new project, The Godfather. Despite studio objections, Coppola fought to cast Pacino as Michael Corleone. It was a controversial choice at the time. Pacino was still relatively unknown, and the studio wanted a more established actor. But Coppola saw something in the quiet intensity behind Pacino's eyes. When The Godfather premiered in 1972, it changed everything. Pacino's performance was masterful, a subtle internal transformation from a reluctant outsider to a ruthless mafia leader. He earned his first Academy Award nomination and was launched into stardom overnight. Al Pacino's early struggles, his life in poverty, the loss of his mother at a young age, and years of rejection, had all led to this moment. He became one of the defining actors of the 1970s, continuing with powerhouse performances in Serpico, 1973, Dog Day Afternoon, 1975, and Justice for All, 1979. His work was always intense, emotionally raw, and deeply human, traits that made him a favorite among both critics and audiences. Al Pacino's story is not just one of talent, but of resilience. From a small apartment in the Bronx to the grand stages of New York theater and the heights of Hollywood, he proved that grit, passion, and authenticity can carve a path to greatness. His beginnings were humble, but his rise was meteoric, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. Al Pacino's career reached its apex during the 1970s and 1980s, an era that not only solidified his place in Hollywood but also helped redefine the standards of acting in American cinema. After his breakout role as Michael Corleone in Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather, 1972, Pacino quickly became synonymous with raw intensity, emotional depth, and a commanding screen presence. This period in his career saw him take on roles that pushed artistic boundaries and resonated deeply with audiences, critics, and fellow actors alike. Following the immense success of The Godfather, Pacino reprised his role in The Godfather Part II, 1974, a sequel that is widely regarded as one of the greatest films ever made. His portrayal of Michael's transformation, from a reluctant family outsider to a cold, calculating mafia boss, showcased his range and subtlety as an actor. The depth and nuance he brought to the role earned him an Academy Award nomination and further cemented his reputation as a master of his craft. During this golden period, Pacino continued to choose challenging and diverse roles. In Serpico, 1973, he played the real-life police officer Frank Serpico, who fought against corruption in the New York Police Department. The performance was riveting, highlighting Pacino's ability to portray both vulnerability and righteous anger. Serpico earned him another Oscar nomination and confirmed that his talents extended beyond the gangster genre. In Dog Day Afternoon, 1975, Pacino once again collaborated with director Sidney Lumet to deliver one of his most emotionally powerful performances. As Sonny Wurtzek, a desperate man who robs a bank to pay for his lover's gender confirmation surgery, Pacino infused the character with a complex mix of tension, humanity, and tragic heroism. The film broke new ground with its socially conscious themes, and Pacino's fearless approach to such a controversial role was both bold and ahead of its time. The late 1970s and early 1980s saw Pacino taking on darker and more intense characters. In And Justice for All, 1979, he portrayed an idealistic lawyer disillusioned by a corrupt legal system. His iconic courtroom outburst, "You're out of order, the whole trial is out of order," became a cultural touchstone and reflected the passionate, high-stakes performances that had become his trademark. Perhaps the most defining role of this era came in 1983, when Pacino starred in Scarface, directed by Brian De Palma and written by Oliver Stone. As Tony Montana, the Cuban immigrant turned ruthless drug lord, Pacino delivered a larger-than-life performance that was initially divisive but has since become iconic. While some critics at the time criticized the film for its excesses, Pacino's performance has been praised for its audacity, depth, and raw energy. Scarface became a cult classic and remains one of his most influential works, particularly within pop culture and hip-hop. Despite occasional box office missteps during this era, such as Revolution 1985, Pacino continued to be revered as one of the most serious and dedicated actors of his generation. He became known for his method acting, deep character research, and emotional investment in every role. His intense preparation and commitment often led him to immerse himself completely in his characters, bringing an authenticity to his performances that audiences could feel. Throughout the 1980s, while the industry began to favor blockbuster action stars, Pacino stayed committed to the craft of acting. His choices, often centered on character-driven dramas and socially conscious stories, showcased a refusal to compromise his artistic integrity. Though he took a brief hiatus from film in the mid-80s, returning to the stage to rejuvenate his passion, his influence during this time remained undeniable. In summary, the peak of Al Pacino's career was not defined by a single role or film, but by a series of transformative performances that reshaped American cinema. He gave voice to complicated, often tormented men grappling with power, identity, and morality. With every film, he expanded the boundaries of screen acting, setting a standard that continues to influence generations of actors. The golden era of Al Pacino is a testament to his unmatched talent, unwavering dedication, and lasting legacy in the world of film. Following the heights of fame and acclaim, Al Pacino entered a phase of his career that was not without turbulence, criticism, and personal challenges. Though celebrated as one of the greatest actors of all time, the very intensity that made Pacino a legend often also drew him into situations filled with controversy and disappointment, both professionally and personally. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Pacino's career began to falter under the weight of uneven film choices. After a series of iconic performances in films such as The Godfather trilogy, Serpico, and Scarface, expectations for Pacino remained impossibly high. However, films like Revolution 1985 received scathing reviews and marked a significant low point in his career. The movie was panned by critics and audiences alike, and Pacino himself later admitted that he took a hiatus from film acting as a result of its failure. For several years, he returned to his theatrical roots, finding solace and control on the stage, away from the harsh glare of Hollywood criticism. Financially, Pacino has also faced his share of difficulties. In 2014, he was sued by his former business manager for unpaid commissions, and reports surfaced that despite his long career and major roles, Pacino had struggled with financial mismanagement and extravagant spending. Although he has never filed for bankruptcy, rumors of money problems lingered around him for years. These rumors were exacerbated by his continued work in lower-budget films or obscure independent projects, leading many to speculate that he was accepting roles more for income than for artistic merit. Al Pacino's personal life has also been the subject of frequent scrutiny. Known for his intense privacy, Pacino never married but has had several high-profile relationships, including with actresses Diane Keaton, Beverly D'Angelo, and Lucilla Solar. His relationship with D'Angelo, with whom he shares twins, ended contentiously, involving a lengthy custody battle. There were reports of Pacino's difficulty balancing fatherhood with his demanding career, and concerns raised by partners over his sometimes reclusive lifestyle and erratic work habits. Controversies have also emerged from the roles he chose and the performances he delivered. His Oscar-winning performance in Scent of a Woman, 1992, was polarizing. Many critics argued it was overly theatrical and not his finest work, suggesting that the Academy was rewarding him for his past rather than the role itself. Furthermore, his portrayal of controversial historical figures, such as Jack Kevorkian in You Don't Know Jack and Phil Spector in the HBO biopic, sparked debates over glamorization and ethical storytelling. Some viewers criticized Pacino for humanizing morally complex or divisive figures, while others praised his commitment to difficult roles. In recent years, some have questioned whether Pacino's acting style, marked by explosive outbursts and larger-than-life delivery, has aged well. Critics have described some of his later performances as self-parody, noting that he sometimes leans too heavily on the same techniques that once made him legendary. Films like 88 Minutes and Righteous Kill were particularly poorly received, with critics arguing that they tarnished his legacy. Moreover, as the cultural landscape of Hollywood evolved, Pacino was also not immune to accusations of being out of step with the times. He has been criticized for comments in interviews that some viewed as tone-deaf or dismissive of the changes in the film industry, especially around diversity and representation. While never directly involved in scandal, his proximity to traditional masculine-centered narratives and roles has made him a subject of critique in a more progressive cinematic era. Despite all this, Al Pacino remains a towering figure in the world of acting. His willingness to take risks, even when they lead to failure, has solidified his place as a true artist. The crises and controversies that have followed him are part of the complex tapestry of a life lived in pursuit of dramatic truth. His legacy, though occasionally shadowed by missteps, remains formidable, and in many ways the challenges he has faced only deepen the mystique and humanity behind the legend of Al Pacino. After weathering years of personal and professional turmoil, Al Pacino, one of Hollywood's most revered actors, embarked on an inspiring journey of self-reinvention and career resurgence. While the 1990s saw the actor immersed in critical backlash and uneven roles, the 2000s would witness a return to form, one marked by resilience, introspection, and a powerful reaffirmation of his talent. The story of Pacino's comeback is not merely about reclaiming lost glory. It is a narrative of evolution, maturity, and the enduring power of a master craftsman who never stopped pushing his artistic boundaries. Pacino's initial return began subtly through a recalibration of his artistic focus. Moving away from formulaic roles and commercial missteps, he started taking on more diverse projects. One such milestone was his performance in the 2002 thriller Insomnia, where he played a morally conflicted detective opposite Robin Williams. Directed by Christopher Nolan, the film was both a critical and commercial success, marking a notable return to compelling, nuanced characters. This role allowed Pacino to demonstrate his capability to embody complexity without resorting to the overly theatrical style that had drawn criticism in the past. During this period, Pacino also embraced television as a new arena for storytelling. His portrayal of Roy Cohn in HBO's Angels in America, 2003, earned him a Primetime Emmy and a Golden Globe Award. This landmark miniseries not only revived his reputation as a powerhouse performer, but also demonstrated his willingness to explore vulnerable and controversial roles. The project reminded audiences and critics alike of his range and commitment to substance over spectacle. Perhaps one of the most defining aspects of Pacino's comeback was his willingness to evolve beyond just being an actor. He increasingly took on roles as a director and producer, bringing passion projects to life. His 2004 documentary-style film, Looking for Richard, which explored Shakespeare's Richard III, was both intellectually ambitious and deeply personal. While it wasn't a mainstream hit, it revealed Pacino's deep reverence for classical theater and his desire to bridge the gap between modern audiences and timeless literature. This project highlighted a reflective, philosophical side of Pacino, a man now less concerned with box office validation and more focused on meaningful artistic expression. In the 2010s, Al Pacino continued to solidify his resurgence with a series of high-profile roles. Films like Danny Collins, 2015, and Paterno, 2018, showcased the actor's ability to breathe life into older, complex characters, often reflecting on themes of regret, legacy, and redemption. These roles seem to mirror Pacino's own personal journey, creating a compelling synergy between actor and character. His portrayal of Penn State coach Joe Paterno, in particular, earned critical praise for its restraint and emotional depth. However, it was his collaboration with Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro in The Irishman, 2019, that cemented his full-circle return to cinematic prominence. Playing labor union leader Jimmy Hoffa, Pacino delivered one of his finest late-career performances, energetic, layered, and laced with poignancy. The film not only reunited Pacino with longtime friends and legends of the craft, but also served as a capstone to a legacy built on loyalty to storytelling and a fearless embrace of challenging material. Off-screen, Pacino has also made efforts to mentor young actors, occasionally teaching acting workshops and participating in theater productions. His love for the stage never waned, and his continued involvement in live theater reaffirmed his devotion to the roots of performance. He also became more open about his life, speaking candidly in interviews about fame, aging, and the lessons learned from both his failures and successes. Al Pacino's comeback story is a testament to the enduring spirit of a true artist. While many actors falter and fade with age, Pacino has embraced his evolution with dignity, intelligence, and passion. His journey back was not just about landing better roles, but about rediscovering his voice, refining his craft, and rekindling his love for acting. As he continues to challenge himself with new roles and creative ventures, Al Pacino remains not only a survivor of Hollywood's fickle tides, but also one of its most enduring icons. Al Pacino's legacy in the world of cinema is nothing short of monumental. With a career spanning over 5 decades, Pacino has left an indelible mark on film, theater, and pop culture, not only through the depth and variety of his performances, but also through the intensity and authenticity he brings to each role. His influence resonates with generations of actors, directors, and audiences who continue to regard him as one of the most powerful and enduring performers in cinematic history. Pacino's characters are etched into the collective consciousness of moviegoers across the globe. From the quiet transformation of Michael Corleone in the Godfather trilogy to the explosive passion of Tony Montana in Starfish, his roles have become icons. He didn't just portray characters, he became them. His unique ability to internalize roles and express deep, often conflicting emotions made his performances stand out, even in films that were otherwise average. His legacy isn't just built on critical acclaim and awards, but on unforgettable moments in cinema that have been endlessly quoted, parodied, and studied. Perhaps one of his greatest contributions to acting has been his unwavering commitment to the craft. Pacino's dedication to method acting, honed under the guidance of Lee Strasberg and the Actors Studio, has inspired countless performers. He views acting not merely as a job, but as a vocation, a discipline that demands respect and authenticity. This philosophy has made him a mentor figure in Hollywood and beyond. Younger actors often cite Pacino as a key influence, both for his acting style and his refusal to be typecast or driven by commercial trends. Beyond his own performances, Pacino's contributions to the theater and independent film have been immense. He has directed and produced works that challenge the mainstream narrative, often championing literary adaptations and stage revivals that might otherwise have been overlooked. His passion for Shakespeare led to acclaimed performances and adaptations of Richard III, The Merchant of Venice, and Salome, making classical works accessible to modern audiences. These efforts reflect a legacy not just of performance, but of preservation and promotion of theatrical traditions. In the public eye, Al Pacino has come to symbolize a bridge between old Hollywood and the new wave of cinema. While many of his contemporaries faded from view or lost relevance, Pacino continually reinvented himself, taking on roles in later years that highlighted his range, from The Insider to The Irishman. His ability to adapt while staying true to his artistic identity has secured his place in the pantheon of greats. Pacino's legacy is also deeply human. He has remained a fiercely private man in an increasingly exposed world, and though he has faced personal struggles and media scrutiny, he has always maintained a sense of humility and integrity. He is revered not only for his talent but for the dignity with which he has navigated fame. In interviews, he often reflects on his humble beginnings in the Bronx, his early struggles with poverty, and his lifelong devotion to acting as an art form. These qualities have endeared him to fans and colleagues alike. In the end, the legacy of Al Pacino is a testament to artistic perseverance, emotional depth, and cultural significance. He has not only shaped the history of film, but also helped elevate acting to a respected and transformative force. Whether through his riveting performances, his contributions to theater, or his influence on new generations of artists, Pacino's impact will endure long after the final curtain. His name, his voice, and his characters are etched into the foundation of cinematic history, an everlasting symbol of passion, power, and artistic excellence. Throughout his illustrious life and career, Al Pacino has experienced an extraordinary blend of triumph and turbulence. Yet beneath the legendary performances and global acclaim lies a well of personal sorrow. The greatest heartache of Al Pacino's life has not been rooted in professional struggles or career missteps, but in the emotional complexities and profound loneliness that have marked his personal relationships, especially his deep longing for family and connection, and the bittersweet dynamics with his children and romantic partners. One of the most enduring emotional wounds for Pacino stems from his complicated relationship with fatherhood. While he has often expressed profound love for his children, Julie Marie and twins Olivia and Anton, his experience as a father has been clouded by regret over not being present enough due to his relentless work schedule. Raised by a single mother after his own father abandoned the family, Pacino vowed never to repeat the same pattern. Yet, in his later reflections, he has admitted the difficulty of balancing his overwhelming career demands with the need to maintain a stable and nurturing presence in his children's lives. His honesty about this struggle underscores a pain that lingers beneath the surface of his success. Adding to his heartache are the many romantic relationships in his life that never fully blossomed into lasting partnerships. Though linked to high-profile actresses such as Diane Keaton and Beverly D'Angelo, Pacino has never married. In interviews, he has alluded to an internal fear of commitment and a sense of emotional distance that often caused rifts in his personal life. The end of his relationship with D'Angelo, with whom he shares his twins, was particularly painful. Despite their shared bond as co-parents, their separation was marred by legal disputes and emotional tension, leaving an indelible mark on his heart. Moreover, Pacino's deep connection to his late mother, Rose, continues to define his emotional landscape. Her death in 1962, just as he was beginning to pursue acting seriously, devastated him. He has often spoken of her unwavering support and how her absence left a void he never fully recovered from. In many ways, Rose was his anchor, and losing her during such a formative period became a turning point in both his life and psyche. Even decades later, Pacino admits that he frequently thinks of her, measuring his success against the life she wanted for him. Pacino has also expressed grief over the passage of time and the deaths of close friends and collaborators, such as John Cazale, his co-star and former partner. Cazale's early death from cancer deeply affected him, and Pacino helped ensure Cazale's inclusion in The Deer Hunter, even as the actor's health declined. That loss, and others like it, reminded Pacino of the fragility of life, making his own journey feel even more solitary. Perhaps the most poignant element of Pacino's sadness is the sense of being misunderstood, an actor whose legacy is publicly celebrated, but whose personal struggles remain largely internalized. He once remarked that success is addictive, but it doesn't fill the hole inside. Despite accolades, Pacino has lived a life marked by quiet introspection, rarely showing the pain that lies beneath his intense gaze and iconic characters. In the end, Al Pacino's greatest sorrow is not a singular event, but a quiet, lifelong yearning for enduring love, for reconciliation with the past, and for a deeper sense of peace. It is this very sadness, however, that has fueled his most unforgettable performances. Drawing from the depths of personal heartache, Pacino has channeled his pain into art that speaks to the soul, reminding audiences that even the greatest icons carry the most human of burdens.